Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to present my presentation in section 3 about teacher educator. So, in the first slide, this is talk about several global technology companies, international bodies such as UNESCO and OECD, national governments and educational researchers continue to explore the impact of ICT on the national education system, as well as governments around the world to introduce policies to improve the quality of education. The increasing quantity and capacity are often related to educators' ICT capabilities and the ability of the teachers, hoping to better prepare young people for an increasingly complex globalizing world. Move to the slides number 2. Any potential for critique, debate, and questioning of the programs is typically constrained by requirements that the program be implemented alongside a set globally derivative professional standards and a standard-based conceptual framework. Funding recipients are obligated to report on their successful participation in the project using the same standards or standard-based framework. Research continues to show how these efforts are largely ineffective. In fact, the globalizing imperative for educational system in nation-states to play a key role in creating competitive knowledge, economic, and young people able to navigate these economies has had contradictory effect on national and local educational practices and cultures. One instance of this is that it is now commonplace for government and regulatory bodies of demand of education provides comprehensive complement with generic standards while urging the same providers to produce ever higher levels of educational innovation. Too many standards that have been developed have only facilitated the radical transformation that new technology always brings, and this is worrying. For this reason, in this chapter, I explain that to clearly see and explore how the impact of the entire of this technology, identify the ways in which the policy and curriculum environment are both dominated by standard-based reforms, then show how these reforms are related to the necessity for educational institutions to teach. One of the frameworks that has been criticized is TPACK. We can see from the figure 1, Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge, or TPACK for short, has emerged over the past 5 years as a popular conceptual framework for understanding the role of digital technology in educational settings. In particular, it has been used to think about ongoing questions of how to understand teacher knowledge and practice with regard to new technologies, largely associated with the work of Misra and Holler, 26-28. The general principle of TPACK is simple enough that there is a dynamic equilibrium between first, subject or content knowledge, CK, second, pedagogical knowledge, PK, and third, knowledge of technology, TK. While such as a framework might be seen as usefully bringing a focus to questions of how to integrate new technologies into teaching, we argue that developing a critical awareness of the tensions and contradictions implicit in the TPACK framework is potentially more productive and generative than using it to explain and understand practice. One aspect of TPACK we are particularly concerned about is its compartmentalizations and packaging up of professional knowledge of teaching and ICT knowledge, as well as the framing of pedagogy as distinct from content knowledge. These aspects of the framework seem to put it firmly in the category of those approaches which attempt to reduce the complexity of education phenomena and which are often used to standardize practice. This is how PCK and TPACK are conceptualized.
In this section, Caroline, the teacher who designed and implemented the partnership initiative, Caroline is an early career teacher educator working full-time in higher education for the past 3 years. She did a project in Monash and found that a partnership first in railway primary school, students try to crack codes in skills and reading comprehension. The partnership with Caroline produced a plan that will help students build speaking skills and abilities, broaden the language and vocabulary experience, and build self-confidence in speaking with adults. In second partnership at the Gumtree Primary School, running with partnerships is also carried out with the aim of improving literacy education and trying to improve teacher performance using digital technology. With all her abilities, Caroline has clearly developed a practice in working in partnership, building mutual understanding and trust in indispensable. Move to the next. It is about new knowledge for teacher educating perspectives from practicing teacher educators. In this study, there are so many assumptions that arise to become an educator. For example, educator must be qualified. In this case study shows that teachers currently have a lot of ideas to do a good job without having to following existing concepts. By conducting a survey of several educators to know about theoretical knowledge, ability to apply theory, content knowledge, familiarity with research, ability to research, interpersonal skills, and professional activities, it was found that preparation to become an educator was needed. Prospective educators must know about the field of education and be given internship opportunities. The last is Intertwining Digital Technology and Literacy Methods course. The study is a periodic study for English teachers that aims to learn in-depth English teachers, educators, or LTEs. There are 3 specific sub-goals. First is how do LTEs conceptualize literacy in a digital age? Second, how do they embed DT into their literacy or English courses? And the third is what are the advantages of the LTE's digital technology rich approach? The complexity of the issues state a changing nature of literacy. The LTs were well aware of the newer conceptions of literacy, changing literacy practices, and literacy as a form of social capital. They recognize that all aspects of literacy evolve as DD continues to influence our communication practice. B. Conceptions of literacy. Many of participants use terms such as multiliteracies and critical literacy to describe their position on literacy theory. C. Changing literacy practices. Building on the theories introduced in the readings, the 6 LTs wanted their student teachers to appreciate the ever-increasing ways we communicate. Many communicated that student teachers do not necessarily recognize this newer form of social media as ways to communicate. D. Literacy as a form of social capital. All 6 LTEs, regardless of the term use, multiliteracies, critical literacy, recognize that literacy is not natural. That's all. Thank you.